So here's a matter that I've only briefly commented on and have been wanting to expand upon for a while. What is it with the Jehovah's Witnesses and their hyperfixation and interest into everyone else's sex life? It's evident in so many ways. It's displayed by the tendency of their youth getting married far younger than non-members, and far younger than is even advisable. It's demonstrable in their literature. It's exposed in the extreme degree of their condemnation toward non-traditional sex and gender-related views. Now, this is not to say that I believe anything goes when it comes to sex. I do believe that some of what the Jehovah's Witnesses teach is valuable. But I want to discuss all of the shaming that goes on, all the hate, the condemnation, perversion, and even voyeurism that happens in this religion. Now, if you follow my channel, you know that my focus is on manifestation and the law of attraction. And while this philosophy is not like a structured religion, with strict moral injunctions on people's behavior, there is a concept frequently discussed in LOA that does touch in on this matter. So I want to get into that too a little later. Strap in, peeps. Let's talk about sex.
Who wants to talk about sex? Sex, 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 sex.
Hey good people, I'm Derek London. Thanks for checking out my channel. Around here we talk about everything law of attraction. We discuss a lot about the psychological, scientific, and rational basis for subscribing to this philosophy of mine. And in fact, if your reality could stand some change for the better, you have only to start there, with your mind. Hit that subscribe button and settle in, because your life will never be the same. Hey everyone, thanks as always for watching. Sorry, I kind of got a little excited back there. Let's start with where I believe the Jehovah's Witnesses deserve a little credit. There are a number of comments and values they've expressed which have some merit. For example, as a general rule, I would agree that there is something deeply spiritual and psychological in the sexual relationship. Listen, live and let live, I don't judge anyone. But psychologists and philosophical moralists have studied and discussed this matter extensively. Having multiple sexual partners and not using discretion in matters of sex can be profoundly expensive biologically, mentally, and economically. The Witnesses obviously take it to another extreme. There is this excess of treating your body like a temple or treating it like an amusement park, which comes with its share of depredations. So on an individual level, there's something to be said for sexual propriety, of course. For certain ones, this may mean that sex before marriage, or at least before a strong, loving attachment is established, that can pose serious risks to one's mental health. On the macro level too, I think there's a lot of merit in what the Witnesses teach, and how sexual ethics can impact society at large. For example, the economic benefits to general society are manifold in cultures that value monogamy. You're also no doubt aware of the psychological damage that attends sexually related disorders and addictions. Pornography, excessive masturbation, and promiscuity are just a few examples of that sort of thing. But how the Witnesses have in turn perverted it through their own condemnatory, shameful rhetoric and over-fascination at the administrative level is enough to make any sex addict blush with embarrassment. While much of the information I've found regarding the divorce rate among JWs, compared to the general population, is rather scarce and outdated, the data has revealed that divorce rates among the Witnesses very much mirrors and follows the trends of such rates outside the organization. Now, in a world where irreconcilable differences can legally end a marriage, I think you can make a fairly sustainable claim that infidelity is likely even more common among the Jehovah's Witnesses than outside. Because, as you know, Jehovah's Witnesses are not allowed to divorce on any other grounds than adultery. And my own microscopic perspective of the organization certainly confirms that claim. Now, due to the lack of data on this matter, I have no idea how divorce rates among JW administrators, that is, circuit overseers, Bethelites, elders, ministerial servants, compare to that of the general population. However, I can say that the way their judicial system is formatted and their methods of adjudicating sexual impropriety is not healthy. I would say if you're a wife of an elder, you should be concerned of what kind of stuff your husbands are asked to weigh in on. The level of scrutiny into everyone's personal sex life is a disgrace. We all take it for granted that these men are spiritually strong and mature, don't we? They can handle it. But don't be naive. These men are just fallible human beings like everyone else. I can't tell you how many marriages among elders I've seen burned down in scandal. I mean, just think about it. Elders are expected to weigh in on very graphic and explicit behaviors. Everyone has a sex drive, for heaven's sakes. It's a recipe for disaster. And I think a good deal of it borders on and trespasses the minimum test of voyeurism. That's my opinion. You're welcome to disagree with me here, but I really believe that. If you haven't watched that leaked video on the John Cedars channel called Pillowgate, you really should. This was a video that was made for the Bethelites regarding the matter of masturbation. They must have discovered an amoeba outbreak in the laundry department. I can't believe how cringy it was. You should really watch it. Since I left, I have to say it's stuff like this that makes the organization seem so foreign to the one I used to know. You know, I found an excellent article on the Psychology Today website which explored this dimension of sexual humiliation. It's called Overcoming Religious Sexual Shame. The subheading reads, "An epidemic of sexual shame is crippling people taught to be pure." So to be fair, this is something that is hardly the trademark of the Jehovah's Witnesses, but I think they're a pretty extreme example of it. Here's a paragraph I thought was so relevant. It says this: "Sexual shame is not solely a religious issue, but it is in the religious communities where we're now seeing this problem reach epidemic levels. Atheists who watch porn rarely report concerns or problems with it, while the strength of a person's religious beliefs and moral condemnation of porn predicts that they will feel addicted to it regardless of how little they watch. Religious people are at heightened risk of developing sexual disorders and feeling at a loss to deal with them or get help. Sadly, when people within religious communities seek help for their sexual concerns, they are most often told to suppress or battle their sexuality or sent to pseudo-treatments such as sex or porn addiction programs where their sexual desires are portrayed as a form of sickness. Shame creates a feedback loop of pain, fear, dysfunction, and self-hatred, which is the true root of most sexual problems." End quote. Now, I've mentioned the following quote in a different video, but I really think there's some truth to it. The famed atheist Christopher Hitchens once said that there still remain 4 irreducible objections to religious faith, one of them being that it is both the result and the cause of dangerous sexual repression. Now, I adamantly disagree with the way that was written. I don't believe it's an irreducible objection, and I certainly don't think all forms of religious sentiment are directly caused by nor resulting from sexual repression. But I do think there's a measure of truth in that. One only has to look at the concentration of child sexual abuse and general rape cases among religious institutions, the consolidation of homosexual priests in the Vatican, the subjugation of women in cultures and faiths that condone polygamy or female genital mutilation, or the dulling of sexual desire attending the circumcised, and the scandals surrounding celibate priests, to notice a corollary. Religious fundamentalism, biblical literalism, and sexual perversion can all, at least to some extent, be explained by and result in repression of the sexual urge. That should be taken seriously. Now, this actually brings me to the LOA concept I wanted to discuss. There's a common expression in the law of attraction community, which I think originated with Carl Jung. You've likely heard it before. It goes, "That which you resist persists." You know the article I quoted earlier? It suggests the following for those who may be affected by this unbalanced purity doctrine stemming from the Witnesses and other religions. Now listen to this. People can overcome sexual shame in their lives without abandoning their religious values and beliefs. In her book, and in this interview, Dr. Shermer Sellers explores ways in which she has helped people explore the notions of sacred and positive sexuality, which exist in ancient Jewish and Christian teachings. She and others, such as the Religious Institute, are identifying the core need to help religious people develop a new sexual ethic, one that they choose and develop as adults, which focuses on intentionality, authenticity, consent, honesty, and mutuality. We can help people struggling with their sexual shame to overcome it by not rejecting themselves, but instead by deciding who and how they want to be sexual from a place of information rather than ignorance. Offering sexual education about the range of human sexuality and educating about sexual diversity and the church's struggles with sexuality in the world are a way to empower people to begin making their own decisions about how to integrate their sexual selves with their spiritual selves. It's only when a person accepts their sexuality as an aspect of themselves and not something that is external to them that a person can truly begin to heal from sexual shame. Then and only then can they evaluate their sexuality from a position that supports their own health in a way that promotes healthy sexual values in their lives, relationships, and even their soul." End quote. Now, believing witnesses' initial reaction might be to reject this based on the idea of choosing your own sexuality. But did you note at the outset how this treatment still respects the boundaries of individual conscience? How can that be anything but positive, rational, and healthy? If the Jehovah's Witnesses paint this as satanic reasoning or a perversion of the natural arrangement, they will find themselves in a world of contradiction and cognitive dissonance. What is so unhealthy with an approach such as that? In closing, whether you love it or hate it, sexuality is a fact of existence. And just like anything, it can have negative and positive consequences. We need to stop demonizing it, and we need to stop worshiping it too. When you have a balanced view towards sex, the worst of these extremes will generally disappear. Now, obviously, this does become a clinical issue from time to time. So I'm not making any medical claims here beyond what the professionals will tell you in their own literature and research. I'm simply saying that we gotta stop giving it so much emphasis. And then, the sexual urge can be enjoyed for what it truly is. We need to liberate ourselves from the vestiges of Jehovah's Witness Victorian sexual constipation. It's demonstrably unscientific, backwards, and harmful. And I think such discoveries prove what LOA proponents say regarding the concept of resistance. Tell me what you think of all that below in the comments. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll see you again hopefully very soon. Take care. Hey guys, did you like this video? You know what to do. And if something I mentioned today resonated with you, click one of them cards on this screen. I have lots of related content sure to interest you. Thanks as always for your views, and we'll see you next time.